Hey, good evening. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, stepping into your world to give you some tools, some techniques, some hope, and some help as you go through the trauma of divorce. Tonight, I'm going to talk about emotions versus facts because they get blurred many times as we're going through divorce. They get all blend together. So, before we begin on the topic, I do want to let you know that July 29th, 2025 will be the next course of Building Your Life After Divorce. It is an 8-week course. This being the summertime, we're going to make it into a 6-week course. And this will be a time for you to begin looking into your future and believing that you have one. And so we are going to look at every aspect of our lives, and we're going to create a new life declaration at the end. It's really a powerful time in this group. I love this group because people are beginning to have a light in their eyes that there is a future after divorce. Now, if you have not gone through my 10-week course, that is going to begin September 9th. Divorce Support Anonymous will spend 10 weeks together processing through, articulating what is happening to us. So, depending where you're at in this process, please connect with me. I will send you a registration form and we will get this healing started. So, a little bit about me, because I had a woman who had difficulty tracking me down, and I thought, oh, I'm not marketing very well because I don't want it difficult for people to find me, especially when life is hard enough right now. So let's go over. First of all, this is what I'm all about. How do we minimize the damage going through divorce? How do we minimize financially, emotionally, spiritually the trauma of going through divorce? That's really my goal. How do we make it simpler, easier? And it's challenging because it's a trauma. But there are ways in which we can minimize the impact. It'll never be easy. It'll never be simple, but there are ways and techniques to minimize that impact and destruction that we have through going through divorce. If you are not aware, this workbook is something that I send out free of charge. It's a free download. I email it out upon request. It's going to help you prepare and get ready for your divorce, to see your attorney for the first time or prepare for mediation, depending on which route you're taking. And so I do a few things. I hold support groups, as I mentioned, for people going through divorce and after divorce. I also am a divorce coach. So a divorce coach is someone who walks alongside of you and helps you understand the process instead of using your attorney. I don't give legal advice at all, but I show you how to use your attorney more efficiently, what questions to ask, and I can explain parts of the process so that you spend less time in the attorney's office. And in doing that, you save literally thousands and thousands of dollars. So, Building Your Life After Divorce, this is a workbook that we use. This comes with your registration. And again, that's going to be 6 weeks through the summer. So, there's a lot here. And if you need an hour just to talk with me, and maybe you're contemplating divorce, maybe you're in the excuse me, in the thick of it in divorce, and you just want to bounce some ideas, my first hour is no charge. So feel free to connect with me, and let's have that conversation. See if I might be able to give you some help and some clarity as you go through this. Okay. Oh, emotions versus facts in divorce. Let's get started. I've got about 5 points here. Emotions can make divorce overwhelming, and they are not always your friend. They can override your common sense, your frontal cortex. You can't think clearly because emotions kind of hijack your frontal cortex, and so it is. You become sometimes a slave to your emotions. And that's really why you need a divorce coach or a support group. You need to hear yourself talking about the fears that you have and the emotions that you have, because within your emotions are some lies that you're believing. And that's what we do as a group. We talk about what are your emotions and what are the lies that you're believing within those emotions. So they're not always reliable. They're good indicators of what's happening with you, but they're not good fact givers. So you need to have someone to work through your emotions. So keep in mind, those emotions can overwhelm you as you go through divorce, and they're not always your friend. Um, do the research to find out the facts you need to deal with. Get your network of experts. Do the research. It is very important that you begin to learn the process. And that's exactly, again, what this workbook is all about. It's going to ease you into what the process is before you meet with the attorney. So connect with me and get that. Do the research. And that research may be talking with some attorneys, talking with myself, using that one free hour, or getting those free consults from the attorneys. Many attorneys will give you the first session free. Some will not. So ask that question before you meet with them. But do get your network of experts. Talk to those people who are experts in finances, in law, a therapist in emotions, a pastor in spiritual matters. Do the research. It is going to require that you begin to do this work. Threats from your spouse does not make it a fact. Your spouse may be telling you all kinds of stories. For example, one woman in my group said he told me I was going to be living under a bridge and I would not have access to the children. Well, that's not the truth. And then there are other spouses who say, well, you're going to pay for all my attorney fees and you're going to pay spousal support. And, the threats go on. Just because they say those things does not mean that they are actually true. That's why you need an expert to discuss with. So just because your spouse is saying it, and just because your spouse says his or her attorney says it, does not make it a fact. Okay? So calm your heart down by all those threats that may be coming at you from your spouse. Something else, emotions versus facts. Just because it happened in your friend's divorce does not mean it's going to happen in yours. Every divorce is different. There are general guidelines, there are principles. However, things can be different. Depends on your approach. If you go mediation, it's going to depend on how cooperative your spouse is. If you go to the court's going to tell you what's going to happen. You are not going to have a say. So whatever your friends may have told you what happened in their divorce does not mean it's going to happen in yours. Again, do the research, find out the facts. Don't go on emotions or on fear because of what friends or your former spouse is saying. Who or what is your source of information right now? Who is that person or source? Be careful who you listen to because you can get conflicting information from both. So, who's your source? Are they reliable? Do they know what they're talking about? Or are they filled with emotions themselves because of something they went through and giving you information that may or may not be applicable to your divorce? Okay, 5 points just to whip through right here. Let's say them again. Emotions can make divorce overwhelming, and they are not always your friend. And that's one reason why we don't want to isolate as we're going through divorce, because the only voice that we're hearing is our own, and it can be feeding us a lot of lies. Do the research, find out the facts you need to deal with. Get your network of experts. Talk to people who know what they're talking about. Threats from your spouse does not make it a fact. So again, find the experts who are going to guide you through on this. Just because it happened in your friend's divorce does not mean it's going to happen in yours. Who is your source of information right now? So I know Trust me, I know after 20 years of working in the divorce world, having gone through my own divorce 28 years ago, how emotional divorce is. It's very emotional. It's very traumatic. So we have to be careful and have compassion and care for ourselves for our emotions, but not rely on them to guide us through this process. Bible verses, of course, the Word of God is always, always the place we need to go. If you lack wisdom, ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, it will be given to him. God does not shame us when we ask for wisdom. He does not say, well, you made your bed, now lie in it. You know, that's a lie that is so untrue of who God is, the real character of God. God says, if you lack wisdom, ask me. He is the ultimate source of wisdom, the ultimate source. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding or your own emotions. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Oh, good. I am so sorry. I haven't been sleeping well, and I just keep, I don't know why. Lately, when I'm doing this broadcast, I start yawning. It's not from the company that I keep. It's simply that I've had some kind of messed up sleeping schedule. So, if you lack wisdom, ask God for the wisdom. Do not go through this process alone. Watch your emotions. Are your emotions getting carried away? Are they telling you lies that you should not be believing in? Again, that's why we can't go through it alone. We cannot advise ourselves through this process. We need experts. We need people who can give us some good facts, some good truth. I hope this has been of help. I hope as you go through this trauma that you will reach out to me and have a conversation with me or register for my support group. Again, Building Your Life After Divorce, July 29th. It will be hybrid. If you're in Grand Rapids, you can come in person. If you're anywhere else in the world and have internet, you can come online. July 29th, and then September 9th, I will start my next 10-week session of Divorce Support Anonymous. I hope something that has been said tonight is helpful to you. That's my goal, to minimize the damage, to help support you as you go through the trauma of divorce. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through the trauma and after the trauma of divorce. Have a good evening.